Okay, there we go. Let's do our opening prayer for vocations. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. O God, who wills not the death of a sinner, but rather he be converted and live, grant, we beseech you, through the intercession of Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, Saint Joseph, her spouse, Saint Juniper of Serra, and all the saints, an increase of laborers for your church, fellow laborers with Christ, send and consume themselves with souls through the same Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Darn, this is going to be obstinate today. This is our last of the 3 training sessions, the 3 sessions, and then we'll have a 4th one if you're at the rally. So that'll be on Thursday, January 18th. Okay. You saw this already. And this is just a reminder because, like, if some people are watching this and haven't seen too, at least they're going to know what we've been doing. So we did that first bullet point on Tuesday. That second bullet point, club operations, leadership, and event planning, we did that on Thursday. Hi, Candace. I just saw Candace come in. And then today, we're really focusing on 4 standing committees: vocations and programs, membership, and communications. And remember, I keep telling you, I'm not saying anything about treasurer. That's a separate training. And you really want to make sure that the treasurers in your local clubs have gone to that training so they know everything that the government requires, and just to make sure that they're, you know, sort of above board. Same thing with our foundation rep. I urge clubs to have someone representing the foundation, and that's a separate training. I think Judy did one last year, Judy Shoemaker, and I hope she'll be doing one again this year. So definitely watch for that. We'll make sure that you get information on that. Another review. Remember what we said. This is just sort of a sample agenda for your training. So I'm not going to spend much time here. Go back and look at it. So when you're holding a training, if you're doing a training as district governor, use this as sort of your template as an agenda. We've talked about inspirational readings because we really like that, to incorporate that in any kind of training that we do. And again, I love this one by Pope Francis when he talked to the Sarans in 2017. There are other, I think in our meeting on Tuesday, I recommended some other things for inspirational reading. So go back and review that. And Barbara, by the way, Barbara is posting this training on our YouTube channel, and then all the resources will be there for you. Okay, let's dive into vocations and programs. Well, this is so important because every club needs to be doing something to promote vocations. And the way we accomplish that really has to do with our mission as Serra. You know, we talked about, we had that 3-fold mission: fostering new vocations, affirming and supporting existing vocations, and then growing in our own holiness. But we want to make sure that our clubs are looking at fostering new vocations out there, you know, maybe having conversations with young people, but then really affirming and supporting our priests, which is what, remember what Pope Francis talked about in his inspirational reading that I just showed you. How do you do this? Oh my gosh, if you don't know what Serra Spark is, and this was what worries me, because I've talked to some people in clubs and they were like, oh, Serra Spark? They didn't know what I was referring to, which got me a little nervous, and I was in Spokane at that point. But we want everyone to know about Serra Spark, which is Serra Promotion and Resource Kit. This was actually developed for vocation directors, but they can be tailor-made to any club, any diocese, any parish. It's some of the easiest things you can do, and the directions on how to do it are there, and resources that other clubs have used are there, and you can go download those resources, take that other club's name off it, and put yours on it. So remind the clubs this is a great resource for them. Now those tools are divided into 4 different types, and really clubs, we want to make sure that they're using all the 4 different types, so that it's not just all about prayer. Yes, we have to have prayer, but they also need to be affirming our existing vocations. And they have to be creating that awareness in parishes and finally inviting and encouraging. So if clubs feel like they're in a rut, tell them to go and look at the tools, and each tool will say what type it is, and we want a nice variety. Vocations, it's actually we see it on two different levels, because there's that first level where we're in the club, within the club, and that second level outside the club. So when something is for the club, that's just for our club members. And if you really think about it, adopt a seminarian, that's something every club can be doing. So that's an example of what you can do within a club. They seem to be more intense, ongoing, and permanent, and you can do them every year. And it's usually the traditional way most of our clubs will operate. But, and this is a conversation you have when you visit the club, what are you doing outside the club? What are the things that you are sponsoring? How do you get all Catholics praying for vocations? And normally this will be focused in a parish level, and so you've got to have that support of the parish priests. Examples, and the examples that are in red, I'm going to talk a little bit about them. But I just mentioned the adopt a seminarian, and then care packages for seminarians. They're almost ready to go back. We have one guy going back. His dad told me he'll be here another week with us, but they're about ready to go back to the seminary and back to school. So this is a great time, maybe within the next couple of weeks, to be sending them a care package. You know, different cards, altar server awards, and Candace is our expert on altar server awards, because Candace, how many people did you have at the altar servers awards this year?
We had a little over 500 that had served for 5 years or longer that attended.
Yes, you can do this. And I mean, that's just a wonderful thing.
And that's where we get our priest.
Yes, it is, because most of our vocations, you know, when Kara surveys them, they find out that most of them were altar servers, also went to Eucharistic adoration. So a couple of things that you can be doing, well, I mean, it might go back, adoration or vocations, weekly or monthly. Yeah, the weekly rosaries, the 31 Club. How many of you are familiar with 31 Club? Oh, good. Okay, because this is a great thing to do within the parish. Adoration for vocations, there's two different ways we can do this. You can do like 1 hour of adoration for the entire Serra group. That's what we do here at the cathedral. Every Monday evening, the Serrans lead adoration and a holy hour for vocations. And most of that is attended by the local Serrans, but then there's other people from the area that will come to that too. And we're just blessed to have deacons within our local Serra club. So it's those deacons who expose the Blessed Sacrament and lead adoration. You could also do multiple hour continuous prayer before the Eucharist. If you know of a parish that has an adoration chapel, or here in my area, we have an adoration chapel at one of our hospitals, you could have Serrans sign up for an hour and just do that continuously. So it's that, you know, continuous prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. And you can do this rotating in parishes, but when you have that multiple hour, it allows all Serrans to participate, even if they've got like some, sometimes maybe like their schedule, they have to pick a particular time, and that is just outstanding for them. The Rosary for Vocations. Now, this is where you can use the 31 Club. You can do group rosaries. The Indianapolis Club here, usually before their meeting, they'll gather, they meet in a retreat center. So they'll gather and say a rosary for vocations before their meeting. And they do name seminarians and their bishop and vocation directors. Or you can have people say individual rosaries. And this is that 31 Club concept. You can either do the 31 Club with masses or with rosaries. We're going to start it with rosaries here because we think that'll be easier for people. But this also will allow a homebound Serran to participate. The 31 Club, you just get a giant calendar, ask people to sign up for a day and commit to praying for 1 hour or saying a rosary or going to Mass. This is a great thing to do in a parish or to do with your club. So we recommend this to your presidents when you see them. Seven Serrans program, great program. Judy Cousins had this inspiration one time as she was praying before the Blessed Sacrament. And she realized that our vocation directors, oh my gosh, they need our help. It's a very hard job. And oftentimes this is not what they want to be doing. They want to be in a parish, but their bishop will come and say, hey, you're going to be my new vocation director. And they accept that challenge from their bishop. However, that turnover is about 30% of them are new every single year. And there's a sort of a burnout on that job. Seven Serrans is modeled after the Seven Sisters Apostolate. So we have 7 Serrans comprising a team from a local club, praying 1 day, 1 hour a day for a particular vocation director by name. And they do that for a year. So that vocation director and his staff, they have somebody praying for them 1 hour every single day. And it's really, I hate to say it's easy, but it's easier than you think because you can offer your Mass and Communion, you can say a rosary, go to adoration. Read the Serra handbook, pray a vocation rosary, because this way every vocation director in our country has that prayer team of Serrans praying for them daily. Right now there's over 210 teams praying. Judy will contact, as we hear of new vocation directors, Judy will contact the club and just ask if they would do it. Some clubs have said no, but I think really we have a great response with this, but we do need more teams. Our club, I think we are praying for I think we have 3 different vocation directors that we're praying for. So this is something that any club can do. And if you find a club that doesn't have the 7 Serrans prayer team going on, just contact Judy Cousins directly and she'll find somebody for them. Newman Connection. This is so exciting. You're going to be the first group I'm telling this to. The Newman Connection just named the U.S. Council of Serra as their partner of the year. So they're inviting us to a banquet to give us an award in Dallas in April. But the Newman Connection is amazing. Why? Because about 80% of Catholic students stop practicing their faith at some point during college. And we know that it's during those college years that oftentimes vocation seeds are planted. So we know that campus ministry on a campus is so important on a university campus. Our Newman Club here is just does amazing work, but they need to know who the Catholic students are. And that's exactly what the Newman Connection does. It gets the names of graduating seniors, an email address, and then also the college that they're going to be attending. With that information, it is sent to the Newman, the Newman Club on their college campus. So in the past 3 years, they've connected 150,000 students to the Catholic College campus ministries. You can do this by just contacting Kathy Campton at the Newman Connection, or you can actually do it yourself. So go talk to your Catholic high school and make sure that they're sending that data that they have on their students and where they're going to college to the Newman Connection. If they're not, offer to help. For your parishes, talk to the Director of Religious Education or the youth minister, and do this like in that May timeframe, April-May timeframe, and get the information. The names of the high school graduates, the name of the college they will be attending, and then the location of the college. And sometimes too, in about May, parishes will be doing something to honor their graduating seniors. That stuff will be in the bulletin. The name of the graduate and the college, that will be in the bulletin. So Newman clubs, Serra clubs can do this. Just go to the Newman Connection, become an ambassador, and sign up. And if you sign up as an ambassador, you can actually actually enter the names of those students yourself, and that really helps and saves a lot of time for the Newman connection. But great way for our Serrans to be involved in vocation work. Now, vocation activities outside the parish. And I was on the meeting I was in this morning, we were talking about Serra Sprint, and we were talking about the Galilee program, and we were talking about Ignite. And those, I'm going to go into a little more detail on them, but also think about those national vocation awareness events. What is your club doing, especially for Priesthood Sunday, which is the last Sunday in September? What's your club doing? What are the clubs doing? Ask them. What about Vocation Awareness Week or World Day of Prayer for Consecrated Life? That is coming up almost, like, I think it's February 2nd. And then the World Day for Vocation. What are they doing to promote this outside? Now for the World Day for Consecrated Life, we'll put something in our bulletin, so in the bulletins around the area that our clubs touch, and let them know that this is that prayer, we need to be praying for the consecrated life. And then, of course, the traveling chalice and crucifix. Go to the Spark website and see information on this. Serra Sprint, this is great, and Margot Getty sort of put this program together, where every club assigns a Serran to every parish and every school in the area. And then they give them those wonderful parish inserts from Serra Spark. They give them, like, I call them bulletin blurbs, which is a little tiny 1 or 2 sentences that can be placed in a parish bulletin. They want to schedule a meeting with the parish and school campus ministers and talk about Serra Spark. And if possible, get a traveling crucifix program into the classroom. This is a great opportunity for kids to talk about vocations. The crucifix travels from one classroom to another in a school, and along with that, the teachers are given lesson plans to talk about age-appropriate lesson plans to talk about vocations, and to daily pray for vocations. Then putting a poster of the Blessed Mother in each classroom, and then just constantly following up and monitoring every parish and school. This is wonderful vocation work for our Serrans to be involved with and really get, not just promoting the vocations, but getting people to know what Serra does, because this will get our name out. The Galilee program, I love this one. Serrans go out 2 by 2, and they request a meeting with the pastor. They talk to him about Serra Spark. They ask him to implement a couple of really easy Spark tools like the 31 Club Rosary, Eucharistic Adoration, Traveling Chalice. The goal is to establish a parish vocation ministry in the parish, because that should be the goal of every Serran, that we try and get vocation ministry starting in parishes. And if we should encourage our Serrans, if there is a vocation ministry in their parish, that they should be part of it. Bob Barrett, actually from Detroit, sort of put this program together, and that's his contact information. And the last one is the Ignite Parish Vocation Ministry Training, trying to build that culture of vocations in every parish. This is a training on how to form, maintain, and sustain the parish vocation ministry and how to use Spark tools. Parishes are taught how to create a parish vocation mission statement and then a strategic plan. We send presenters to a diocese that invites us. We went to Sally's diocese in Omaha maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We were just in Spokane. We were just in Louisville. Cincinnati, Ohio, and Covington, Kentucky, I think we were at recently. But this one has to be by the invitation of the vocation director or the bishop, because we just don't go and do this. How do you support that culture of vocations, the Ignite program? have your club support the training, or you get trained as a facilitator or get trained as a mentor. We have Serrans following up with every single parish that goes to the Ignite training just to help them and make sure that they're continuing the good work and the strategic plan that they developed. If you want to invite us, talk to your vocation director. Ask your vocation director to talk to the bishop, and then contact us to get the workshop in your area. And then even more importantly, when we go to your area, we want Serrans there to help, to be that those ministers of hospitality and the real experts on how to promote vocations. And then continue to pray for the success of the Ignite program. So this is one where we will send facilitators to the diocese to do this. And it doesn't cost, here's the thing, it doesn't cost the diocese anything. National vocation events, these are 4 biggies that you really need to know. There's more, there's a lot more, but Priesthood Sunday, that last Sunday in September, National Vocation Awareness Week, first week in November, World Day of Prayer for Consecrated Life, February 3rd. It's February 2nd this year. Why do I have that down? I'm going to check that, but it's February 2nd this coming year. And then the World Day of Prayer for Vocations in late April or early May on Good Shepherd Sunday. Clubs should be doing something for these particular events because this is part of that support for vocations that we already have. Any questions on vocation activities? Okay, I'm going to continue moving. Oh, yes, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask. I'm behind here somehow because where did the slides come from?
Oh, I'll send the slides to you. I'll send the slides to you.
Okay, you were saying we should review these things, and I don't have them to review. So
you'll get them when we're done, Dan. Everybody who's here will get them. Plus, they'll be posted on our YouTube channel and on the website. And just for other people who weren't here on Tuesday or Thursday, what I'm telling you is when you do your training, you take these PowerPoint presentations, rip it apart, put them back together so that it makes sense to you, and then use it for your training.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do that, if you would prefer, we will be doing training. Usually we do it in April, or I think early April. Between Mike Downey and myself, we'll do all that training for every single committee during a training session. So it'll be an online. But honest to heavens, like on Tuesday, we talked about the benefits of an online training versus face-to-face. And well, online will you probably reach a bigger audience. Face-to-face, everybody in the same room, I think is a much more valuable thing. Yeah. Other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, let's jump into programs. So we're going to talk about our monthly meeting programs, special programs, and then religious appreciation, which we so need to be doing. Have a schedule in advance for a year. For a year. It's so wonderful when a club sends out the year's calendar and you know when the meetings are, you know what you're going to get at that meeting. Wow, if Bishop's going to be there, everybody's going to be there. But they can't do this unless they get that program schedule in advance. So that means that the board of a local Serra club needs to be involved and help set up that annual program. They should know who the speakers are, the topics, and then everything needs to be on mission. Coordinated with the bishop's schedule, because bishops will come to this if they can fit it into their schedule. So one of the first things you probably would tell your clubs to do is ask the bishop's secretary when he might be available and get him on first and then schedule around. On that master schedule, put down your appreciation events and say who's going to do that. Put down all those national service events. I just gave you dates, and then assign who's going to spearhead that event. If there are special events, find out who is going to take the lead. You should be there at ordination mass. It's kind of neat here because like the last 2 or 3 years, the Serrans have gathered in the grassy area outside the cathedral and said a rosary for vocations prior to ordination, and then naming the ordinants, saying them by name. An annual retreat. Are your clubs doing an annual retreat? Seminary visits. When's the last time they went to visit a seminary? And then that mass for deceased Serrans. This would be wonderful. Do it on a first Saturday or something, or a first Friday, and make sure you've got that intention at whatever parish you go to, and then maybe follow up with a breakfast. The regular monthly meetings, those can be challenging because sometimes it's easy with those religious appreciation events and ordinations because you just put those on the calendar. But if we want to retain our members, we need to have really good monthly meetings. And we want to make sure too that a month isn't overloaded with too many things. And then always consistent with dates, times, and places for the monthly meeting so that they know on the first Thursday, we're going to meet, and here's the time we're going to meet, and here's where we're going to meet. That consistency will go a long way to retaining membership.
Ann, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, have the bylaws posted, new bylaws posted, which make semi-monthly meetings obsolete now, or I mean, has that been changed formally, or is that just kind of something that's just happened to allow people to meet only once a month and board meetings, so whenever you feel like it, or I mean,
Yeah.
what's happened on that?
Okay, good point, Dan. What I'm saying is, and I think I'll make this point, I made it the last time, but I'll say it again. So maybe one of your meetings during the month, it's a speaker, or it's the bishop or someone with a vocation story, and maybe your other one is more educational, more formational. So
Okay.
yeah, the two meetings is still there.
Okay.
I'm going to think it was Thursday. I gave a link to the most sort of a template for bylaws, because I think I made the point on Thursday that some clubs don't know where their bylaws are. They're not familiar with their bylaws. So actually the template is something that you can use
Yeah.
to help them with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that just kind of you and I and Judy were all involved in our own club in
Exactly.
rewriting our bylaws several years ago, and they had to be approved. But there was a template that we had to follow
Yes.
and comply with. And my question is that template been changed? Because I haven't seen anything announced about that, and I looked for it, I thought, and the template that we used was the template that still exists.
Yeah, the template we used actually was from Indianapolis. We stole theirs. Yeah.
No, well, okay.
Okay, I will look, Dan, and I'll email you, but I think I had the link to it on the training from Thursday, but I will make sure I
Okay.
forward that to you. Yeah, I'm making myself a note.
Those should come from Serra US, right?
It actually would come from Serra International.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I will find that and email you the link, but it's in one of the presentations. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so programs, here's a list of possible speakers that you can get. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just meant to jog your mind a little bit. Share this with the clubs, because I think this is some good things. Especially, I found we've got a lot of focus missionaries here, a lot of ex-focus missionaries, and it's kind of interesting just to bring them in and have them talk about what they have done. Bring in somebody from the U.S. Council. You can Zoom us in. I mean, that's really easy to do. And then different topics. I just asked a seminarian. I was at a meeting with a seminarian on Thursday, And I asked him, could you just write about your particular day in the seminary? What is that like? What are you doing? Because he's in the seminary to become a brother. So it's a very interesting path. But those are great topics. So share this with your clubs. Think about when you're planning, stay focused on vocation. Think about those outside speakers that you can get in. Regional officers, get your regional director to come and talk. If there's a missionary visiting, wow, have them talk. Follow up with thank you notes, spiritual bouquets, which is lovely. I know our Serra Club has been doing the spiritual bouquets. You're going to give them a gift, give them something that says Serra. Greg Schweitz has a habit of giving people the little Juniper Serra like finger rosary, which is kind of a neat gift to give speakers. Make sure that there's prayer in every meeting, and then always backup plans, because you're going to have, like, you can have a cancellation at the last meeting. Best backup plan ever, show a Serra meets. You know, once a month, we have some great speaker, and it's going to be Bishop Cousins on this month. So next Saturday, Bishop Cousins will be talking, and he's going to be talking about the Eucharistic revival. So definitely, that's something you could use as a program. Other options, Pope Francis's talk. This is a DVD, Fishers of Men, the Holiness Program, which is being revised right now. I'm thinking it's going to be ready pretty quick. The U.S. officer presentations, there are some great things out there. The member orientation, which is really a great thing for the whole Serra Club to hear, and that's the link for it. And then something on St. Universe Serra, or another talk for Father Cromley at the SI convention in 2021. Special programs, seminary visits. That could be a weekend trip or whatever, but just make sure you clear it with the seminary first, and you let your seminarians know you're going to be there. A day of retreat or reflection, get a speaker, Mass, adoration, rosary, reconciliation. Lent or Advent, people will come. If you hold it during the summer, I'm not sure you get the same turnout, but Lent and Advent, people are looking for ways to grow in holiness. And that annual Mass to pray for our deceased Serrans, you can actually invite the bishop to that. Religious appreciation, you can do, we just did a clergy and religious sisters appreciation dinner, and that's always a nice turnout for that. Or bishop's appreciation, maybe a seminarian lunch, the ordination Mass, different things that you can do just to foster that appreciation for our existing vocations. Yeah, this is what we learned from COVID. Do not let anything stop your meeting. You can Zoom. You can. This is a GoToMeeting. You could, if you just wanted to use a call-in. Don't let something like that, like COVID, stop your meetings. Think about using online club meetings just in case. You can ask the, and Mike Downey has done this, and he did it after COVID because some clubs were still having problems meeting. So Mike actually just used his GoToMeeting account and hosted a meeting for a couple of Serra clubs. Just ask, we can do that. Always arrange for a powerful presenter. Ask your, look around, ask people in the club who those presenters would be. The bishop, the vocation director, national speakers, they're outstanding. And then again, participate in Serra Meets, because that is some of the best vocation videos around. Just look at our YouTube channel and you can sort of page through and see who has presented. Anything about programs? Questions? Okay, I said this is our longest presentation, so I'm going to keep going. Whoa, I have the expert in this call and in this meeting. Candace is the expert. Candace is our vice president for membership of the U.S. Council. So Candace, as I say something wrong, stop me and correct me.
You're good.
Why is membership important? Because God continues to call men and women to the priesthood about religious life. But they're not responding. So they have to be encouraged to respond with that generous spirit and answer this call. So we need more prayers for vocations. We need more hands. And the way we do this is to grow our membership. And by growing our membership, we show our priests and religious how much we support them and support their vocation. It's a process, and you know this because we've got to create that awareness, and we do that by inviting both everybody and specific people. I'm going to talk about the application form and then some of these other items, well, all these other items too. Awareness. Best way is you've got vocation programs in parishes and it says Serra. It's got the logo, it's got Serrans wearing name badges. This is a critical piece. So some of the things you can do, those National Vocation Awareness events, 31 Club, Eucharistic Adoration. One of the Kansas clubs brought their adopted seminarian prayer board and cards. They had the huge 3x5 poster board, only they used something, much more sturdy than just poster board. And they had a picture of every seminarian, a little bio, and then right under that, you could take a card with the seminarian's address on it. And it encouraged you to pray for the seminarian and then to send them cards or letters. It's a great thing. It was I think it was the Kansas City, maybe Kansas City downtown. But I was really pleased to see that. The Called by Name program, outstanding, because it's that opportunity for parishioners to say, hey, I think this person might have a vocation. And it's done very discreetly, and those names are given to the pastor. Altar server recognition events. Candace had 500 kids at their event in Houston. And guess what? Serra name just got out to 500 kids, and they're going to remember that. Make sure you plan publicity to increase awareness. Let your paper know, let the Catholic radio know, any kind of bulletin announcements. And I'm positive this is on the website, the parish bulletin blurbs. So you give that to your parish, they put it in their bulletin. There's one for every single week of the year, and it's got the Serra logo on it, and then also you can put the name of your vocation director on it. You can personalize it. That's wonderful. And it's because it's got the logo and people know us. If there's a parish ministry fair, like a lot of our parishes will have a ministry fair just to let people know what's available, make sure the Serrans are there. I think sometimes we forget that we can do that. And I mentioned the Indianapolis Diocese allows the Serra Club a page on their website just to talk about what they're doing, which is outstanding. So check and see if how the club to look and see if the diocese will allow them that space. Serra prayer card for vocations. I told you we just did this. We got 2 vocations in 18 months, less than 18 months. We had 2 vocations. And we took the Serra prayer for vocations. It's printed on a very large sticky note. It's pasted into the missalette, and we say it before every Mass on the weekend. Great way to pray for vocations, and it works. And then the pre-printed trifold brochures in all parishes. Most parishes will have some sort of an information rack. Put your materials there just so people know what Serra is, and then even they can take it and read about it and possibly contact someone to learn more about Serra. However, caveat, before a local club starts putting those brochures in parishes, make sure they've gotten permission from the pastor. Yeah, because I'll go around at least once a week and throw things away that I know we have not given permission for to be in the cathedral. We want to give that general invitation to the whole Catholic community. So again, those trifolds are perfect. Just make sure you got them in English and Spanish. Any kind of bulletin information with your contacts, business cards with your contact information. I ran into let's see, he was um, he was head of the vocations committee for the KFC, and he had his business card, which he handed me, that had all his contact information, and anybody who was interested in KFC, the information was there. Serra clubs can do that too. Utilize the joinserra.org, which is a great way to get information to people about Serra. Put some articles in your Catholic newspapers, or a radio interview, or Facebook post. And especially if the diocese has a Facebook presence, see if you can't post some things on their page. Do invites for special events, especially like that annual dinner or information where you invite people to come and learn about Serra. But you want to make sure people are going to come. So one of the easiest ways to do that is say that the bishop is present, or we used to hold them at the bishop's house. That's an easy way to get a lot of people to come to that. Invite prospects to any kind of a event that the bishop will be there, because they just like to be with the bishop. And ask the bishop and vocation director, what would you like to see us do? What can we do for you? Because they'll tell you. It'll be a great way for our Serrans to be involved. Yeah, individual. I love the invite the general population, but it's that one-on-one individual ask that's going to be best. Look for people between 40 and 70 years old, those empty nesters. Actually, I think you should be looking younger than that, but oftentimes our best response is going to come from that age group. Look and see who's at daily mass, who's at adoration, because they will join. How about parents and relatives of priests, seminarians, deacons, religious? How about adults who are in charge of the altar server ministry or youth ministry program? Parish vocation committee members. We have, I'm trying to think. Okay, that doesn't work for us, because our parish vocation committee, everybody is a member of Serra, except the one young man who went off and joined the seminary. But he came back and met with us. If you've got a Catholic friend, ask them to join. Those recently widowed, and because it's that reaching out for friendship. Parishes without Serrans, and I bet you can find out what those are. Ask the parish priest who he would say would make a good Serrant. I love this. Triple team the prospect. The more a person is asked, I think it takes 7 times for a person is asked, but triple team them. Go and ask them. Plan the invitation to join. Usually there's I know our club has had like a list of a tickler list of here's people who we want, and then planning on who's going to invite them and how many times. So at least contact them twice, because then it gets them thinking about Serra. The conversation, be very joyful, be happy when you're talking about Serra. Tell them anything wonderful that you've done. Tell them about if you went to University Serra's beatification, or if you went to Rome, or something that you've done that you've loved. Talk to them about it. Talk about what it's doing to your own spirituality. Talk about what it does to seminarians, because they love it when they hear from a Serran. Talk about how we can support our sisters, our brothers, our bishop, our vocation director. Tell them how much it costs, and tell them what's happening with their dues. It's not what they get out of it, but it's what it gives you. It's God's work. It's all about the future of the church. And you will hear objections. I can pray for vocations without being a Serra. Okay, yes, you can. But it's the action that we're called to, and we can do that through Serra. Group prayer, where 2 or 1 are gathered in my name. That's an important point to remember. The dues seem so high. Well, tell them what it is in a month, and give them examples of what can be accomplished with that money. So if this one, not sure with the priest abuse scandal and all, but that's why we need to be affirming and supporting the good priests and religious, because sometimes they've been unfairly targeted. This one, the magic membership envelope. So they send a stamped envelope from the treasurer and it's got an application form in it, and a membership brochure, and a Serra prayer card, and then an information sheet on what Serra provides to everyone. The application form, be careful. Sometimes it's confusing. Just don't hand out I'm getting really feedback. Okay, just don't hand out blank prospects, a blank form. Make sure you've got your club name in it, your number, your district. Copy that off. I'm going to ask everybody to mute for 1 minute because we'll get a little bit of feedback. Yeah, if you've got a session, you can just unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, put your sponsor's name on it. So like if I'm going to do it, I'll take that pre-filled out application form and I'll sign it so that my name. If you know what parish you're going to, then get the pre-signature on it. Just maybe highlight in yellow those particular fields that they need to be filling out, and then that self-addressed stamped envelope to the treasurer, and then make sure that you follow up that everyone has received it. Remember who you're mailing to, and then see that they have received it. The application form, $11.75 initiation fee. Really, you want to do this. You want to pay this because then that just triggers everything. So the applicant immediately begins getting things from the U.S. Council and from Serra International. This will cover the dues until the next regular invoice, no matter when they join. And that kit has a new member pin, a handbook, and a certificate. This is a great thing to do. So make sure you're not just holding that $11.75 for a while. Get that to the Chicago office. The new member induction ceremony, wow, it lets them know that they're really joining something. It's great to involve the bishop, the vocation directors, the chaplain. We do it at a mass, and I think it just shows that what a sacred occasion this is. And it's a great place then to deliver that new member kit with a pin, and a little ceremony afterwards is wonderful too. Or you could have a special meeting with the club officers, and they can explain what's going on with Serra, the responsibilities and opportunities to participate. Or you can use the new member orientation recorded webinar. It's 36 minutes in length with breaks for discussion. And the new members could watch that with, a couple of officers there. It also could be a webinar that's used as a monthly program for all your members. If they haven't seen it in a while, think about using it. Okay, retention. Ooh, yeah, I said this, I referred this to Candace a couple of days ago when we were talking, because oftentimes Candace will give us reports. Well, Candace always gives us reports on here's how many new Serrans we have, here's how many Serrans we've lost. So we've got to be working on retaining our members. So we've got to involve them right away, in weekly or monthly rosaries, Eucharistic adoration, have them adopt a seminarian, have them help with the Newman collection. They've got to be engaged. And we want to make sure that we're mentoring them and we're welcoming them. So for those first 6 meetings, have somebody go with them. Have everybody introduce themselves to them. Everybody introduce yourself, old, new, and introduce yourself at the meeting. Wear the name badge and remind our Serrans to say hello. Have them maybe split up and sit with somebody they've never sat with before. Communicate. Talk about the programs, talk about the events in advance. Regular, timely newsletters. Email those reminders. Make sure your programs are great, scheduled out well in advance that year that we need. Specific focus topics and always a vocation focus. Do not make them a leader immediately. Don't tell them, oh, we don't have a president, so you can do it. Encourage them, though, to be part of a team or a committee. Don't put them in an officer position with no club experience. Even if you know that they've held officer positions in other organizations, don't do it until they've experienced Serra. Encourage them to attend regional, national, and international conventions or the conference calls. You know that each of our standing committees have a monthly call. Well, we'll have one call a month. So this coming Monday, it will be vocations. So Maura Lakewood will be having a vocations meeting. So encourage them to do something like that. Just drop in at the meeting and listen to it. It's a good way to learn about what we do. Oh, and this happens. When they quit, find out why. And then let the president or vice president for membership know. Keep the data. If the reason is they don't have time to participate, then ask them to be a friend of Serra or an emeritus member. They will give that support, that financial support, determined by an individual. We'll keep them in the newsletter mailing. And for nowadays, the newsletter's more than likely not mailed. It's probably just emailed. So it's not going to be much of an expense at all. Tell them to come to any of our prayer-based events. You know, Serra Masses, adorations, rosaries. And they will not have to pay dues to the council or Serra International. And they really don't have official membership. Use this judiciously. So I would caution all clubs to use this very judiciously. Don't just be going and making everyone friends of Serra or emeritus members. I'm cautious about that. Growing membership is about sharing the work and joy of Serra, and we just want you to be a joy-filled Serran. Okay, Candace, what did I miss? What should you emphasize?
I'm just going to say that you don't have to go by the bylaws exactly, even though it says in the bylaws, Serra International, like 2 program meetings a month and a board meeting. You know, if that doesn't work for you, you don't have to do that. You can have your own bylaws, and you don't even have to exactly go by that. You just have to go by what works for you. And like we had someone just recently complain from a club that the president has his meetings at lunchtime. Well, most of the members work, so the turnout's not good, and they would like to change it. The leaders of the club need to be flexible also. I think that's very important. Or have the meeting on Saturday if most people work. So I just wanted to point those 2 things out.
Excellent. The Denver club, I went to a meeting of the Denver club. They meet in the morning. They have breakfast. They go to mass and have breakfast, and they're out of there probably before most people are at work. So there are other ways to eat. Just encourage your clubs to be flexible, to be open to ideas. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm at the point where I'm going to ask questions on membership. Yes, Barbara, tell us.
Dr. Earl, I'd just like to mention that the new member orientation fee has increased from $11.75 to $12.75 as of the first of this year. And right now we're getting ready to revise the new member application that's posted on the Serra International website to reflect that change.
Okay. All right, did everybody?
One other thing, Anne, I just want to say one other thing. Today is St. Andre Basset's feast day, and the homily today at Mass was, he was rejected to enter the priesthood because they already had too many priests, and he was persistent, and so finally he was able to join the seminary. But what a great problem to have, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And look at those kinds of those dates too, because like it's St. John Vianney, that would be another day to be doing some appreciation for your priest, because he's the patron saint of priests. And then I think it's St. Charles Borromeo is the patron saint of seminarians. Use those other dates too, just to thank them and then to foster that awareness.
Yes.
Okay, last thing, we're on the home stretch here, communications. Internal and external. Internal, your membership has to know what's happening. They're not going to stick around if they don't know what's happening. It's hard for them to belong if they don't know what's happening. So things to use, tools, your newsletter or your minutes. What a great idea if you're having a board meeting. Have your club president send out the minutes from that meeting. It's a great way for everyone to know what's happening. Think about too an annual directory or calendar. So like maybe if they operate on a calendar year or a school model, at that year's beginning, have them send out a calendar. Have something on a website. Have a website. Have a website. I've seen some really great ones. Things to do, email them, call trees, teleblasts, newsletters, Facebook, WhatsApp, GroupMe, Viber, Instagram, anything to get that message out and to communicate with your members. Tell them when the event's going to be, any kind of changes of a schedule, deaths or illnesses. I want to know when someone dies. I want to know priest anniversaries, seminarian birthdays, and then the current officers with their email addresses so that you can communicate with your officers, Sarah. The newsletter, it has to be informational and motivational. Simple design, large type, not giant type, large type for easy reading, and then sent at the same time every month. And I get a newsletter from a monthly newsletter from Philadelphia and from Bridgeport, which are amazing. The Bridgeport one is just has wealth of information. Oh, and I also get Louisville, Kentucky, which is
great.
Outstanding. It's got so much information and it's so many great suggestions. But it's wonderful because that comes at the same time every month, and that really keeps me up to date with what's going on. Upcoming events has got to be a really important part of the newsletter. Let them know at least 2 months in advance. Of course, if the clubs have followed your directive of having a yearly calendar, people know, but remind them just in case about 2 months in advance. And any kind of prayer requests they might have too. Don't hold it up. I know we used to have a habit here of holding up the newsletter because something important was going to happen. No, if they expect it, then you want to make sure that you're delivering it to them. Email it to everybody. But if someone doesn't have an email, hard copy them. And this is a recommendation. This comes from Mike Downey. At least once a year or once a quarter, hard copy and mail it to them, just so that they're getting something from you. Think about obituaries for deceased members too. Always include the board minutes. People want to know what the board is doing. I think that's important. Then remember, there is a newsletter award. So for this year, you're going to submit 2 consecutive newsletters between September, since the September of 22 and August of 23. And then at the rally, it will be announced the winners of that newsletter contest. There will be more information coming out on Always Forward, Never Back, starting in July 24, of where to submit entries for the following year, so for 25. So in Miami, we'll be announcing the winner of the newsletter. Final thoughts, communications depend on the officer's team and passing that information on to the vice president for communication. That vice president has got to be the one who's funneling it. And the best communication efforts cannot overcome poor planning. So there's got to be that planning for what's going on. External, that was internal. This is external. So publicity, this is critical. Get something in your diocesan newspaper. Get it on your Catholic radio. If your diocese has a vocations website, on the club website, in Sunday bulletins, Facebook, parish Facebook pages, because we have a Facebook page, and I'm trying to remember if we put anything on it. I don't know that we were ever given anything to put on it, but we would. And on Instagram. Anything else, I'm not sure if there's other communication. If your parish uses flock notes, you may want to find out how different parishes communicate. But make sure that you're getting the word out externally about what the clubs are doing. Okay, this is your caveat. There are some legal considerations, especially through the website. copyright laws. Just because something's on the web doesn't mean it's free. Sometimes pictures and artwork can be copyrighted, and then you have to pay to use them. Try Wikipedia Commons because that's an online repository of images you can use. Or diocesan website pictures are usually safe, but contact the editor. Don't grab something from a parish bulletin because you can't always be sure that parish bulletins have really looked at the copyright issues. And don't grab pictures of individuals without their permission. Make sure you get permission for that. All right, almost at the end. Any questions or comments about the communication? Yes, Pat?
Hey, in my club, the Kansas City, Kansas Club, we quit doing a newspaper, but I think we have a really good website, but I don't know how it compares to everybody else's website. Does Serra International or USA ever look through our websites and say, this is a really good one, have some ideas for a better website?
Yeah, Jesse Gallegos, he was the communications VP, and now it's Don Simino. And they have talked about looking at websites and Facebook pages and sort of evaluating them so they can look at maybe possibly getting some awards about that. But
Okay.
That's a really good comment, and I'll just keep pushing them that way. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Somebody else, question?
Anne,
Yes.
Elizabeth here.
Yeah.
So when we look in Club Express and we go search for a club in a particular location, so it listed the club, but it doesn't list anything else. So maybe that's where, if we have a website, that there should be a link right there,
Oh,
so that members or potential members seeking, to join will immediately get to our local website.
that's a great comment, Elizabeth. I've just asked Don Simino, I don't know if he's answered me yet, to do something with Club Express for when our district governors come together in when we come together in Miami. Has he said anything? He hasn't responded to me yet. But I think that would be really helpful for him to hear that. So I will mention that to him. Yes.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. This is basically done. We'll come together everybody who's in Miami on January 18th at 3:45 for a roundtable discussion. And as I said, I've asked Don Simino if he would just come and talk to us about Club Express and maybe bring his computer so that we can actually answer questions and sort of get like an in-person overview. But also any other questions or anything that you would want to talk about, we can that particular day. Whoops. All right, let me go back down to this one right here. Okay, thank you for attending. And you're going to find everything on the resource page. I'm going to send this to Barbara. She'll get it up very quickly. And then all recordings of all 3 sessions will be on the YouTube. Again, let me know if you've got any feedback, any ideas for improving the training or something that we didn't do that you think that we need to. Please, that's probably the most valuable thing that we can do. Again, use these slides. Take them apart, make them work for you and any kind of training that you do. If you develop something really great, I wish you'd share it with me so that we can share it with everyone else too, because I think that's the way we all learn, and it's going to be so valuable for us. Okay, any last thoughts or any burning questions?
And this is Candace. I just want to say, please remind your clubs to sign up for the Missionaries of Serra contest to register. We want all clubs to register. So I've sent out to all district governors, VPs of membership, presidents, regional directors. So we have 55 clubs so far that have registered, and we'd like to keep going with more registering. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Candace, can you send that list of the clubs who has registered? Can you get that to the district governors so that they
Yes.
know whether or not their clubs have registered? And then district governors you can say something to those clubs that haven't registered.
Great.
Yes, I sent the previous one to the district governors, but I have an updated one I'll send right after this meeting. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so
Good
much.
idea.
Okay,
Thank
anybody
you.
else? Okay, let's end with our prayer for the perseverance of vocations. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. O God, you have constituted your only begotten Son, supreme and eternal priest, for the glory of your majesty and the salvation of mankind. Grant
That
that
those whom we have chosen as ministers and dispensers of his services
may be found
Faithful,
fulfilling the
fulfilling the
ministry they
ministry.
have received. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Great
Thank
job,
you.
Ann.
Thank you.
Very good.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you,
you
Ann.
on the